Hey everyone, welcome back to the M&R show. I'm Ron,
And I'm Malcolm.
and free agency frenzy is upon us. Mark, what do you have to say about it?
Hey man, it's been a crazy free agent. This might be like one of the best free agencies in NFL for a long time. I think they're trying to match up with the NBA as far as what they're trying to do as far as ratings, but it was a very good free agency. Some people did good, and some people like the Steelers got a little $7 million quarterback. But I mean, we'll definitely talk more about it. So you know how to add an extra thing up there. So but make sure y'all tune in though. Anything to say, Mark? Anything to say?
Yeah, I just want to say I'd rather pay 7 than 28 any day.
Hey,
we'll talk more about it. We'll talk more about it, but nah. First thing we're gonna have to talk about is this Devonta Adams contract, and one thing is I'm so surprised about this whole deal, to be honest. First off, you sign back Aaron Rodgers, make him the highest paid player in NFL history, and I'm thinking that okay, you get Devonta Adams on this franchise tag deal, and then everything's gonna be fine. And lo and behold, I look at my phone and I see that Devonta Adams was traded to the Raiders and was signed a mega 5-year, $141.25 million deal. And the crazy part is Green Bay was matching that deal or trying to offer him a little bit more because, at the end of the day, Green Bay has this type of, income tax where, it's like 7.7% or whatever. So you had to offer more so he can be able to match it up. So the one thing I look about this is I see that Devonta Adams basically picked Derek Carr over Aaron Rodgers. He definitely enjoyed what they had in college. They was roommates, and they even said that he bought a house right next to Derek Carr. So at the end of the day, we seen that Devonta Adams is Derek Carr's guy. Like Derek Carr loves Devonta Adams, and Devonta Adams loves Derek Carr. And then we look at this contract. Yes, it's 5-year, $141 million, but at the end of the day, it's broken down to 3 years, $67.5 million. So at the end of the day, the real average is about $22 million a year. So it's not even that bad. Christian Kirk messed it up for everybody, but at the end of the day, it's still a decent sized deal. One thing I can say is it's a big move for the Raiders because the Raiders has been doing a good job this whole offseason. And now you give Derek Carr his first number one wide receiver since Amari Cooper. Actually, this is his best number one wide receiver since he's been in the league.
Mo, I mean, that's just kind of a crazy narrative to push that he chose Derek Carr over Aaron Rodgers. But hey, nobody, best friend or not, nobody's going to choose Derek Carr or Aaron Rodgers. And you got a unique situation where usually when a QB and a wide receiver split, somebody was enhancing the other person. This is not one of those situations. Best quarterback, best wide receiver, you know what I mean? They kind of go hand in hand. So it's not like he chose Derek Carr. He chose respect. And that was one thing that the Packers were not giving him, and we're not giving a couple other players. And trust me, it's kind of hard to focus on another player when you got one player threatening to leave out the door as great as Aaron Rodgers is. But I think at the end of the day, you could kind of see that Green Bay may not know what they're doing. They may not.
Maybe not.
They may not. By the draft, free agency, I mean, they are always going to be a good team, but you know what I mean? Relationships have soured with a lot of players there, and I think for Devonta Adams, this is a good move. Going to play with your best friend. You know what I mean? Derek Carr is not a slouch. This is a tough division, but you know what I mean? It's a good deal for him, and he deserves the money. You know what I mean? He is the best receiver. Yeah. Although Cooper Kupp did have an amazing season, you really can't take it away from Devonta. But I just think, you know what I mean, the Raiders did something with this move, giving up a first and a second. Yeah, they kind of still need to get a little bit better, but adding Chandler Jones boosts your pass rush. I guess you don't need good corners when you got a great pass rush. That's what I'm guessing the Raiders do.
Yeah, I want to talk about the roster. So you know me, I'm a Madden guy. I go on Madden. I download the new rosters. The two highest players are Devonta Adams and Chandler Jones. This is Madden crazy. At this point, you add your two best players are players you got off the street or via trade. They gave up a 1, they gave up a 2. I would have gave it up for Devonta Adams. No more receiver in the league. And we've seen what the Raiders have done with their last draft picks. Like, they're just not a good drafting team. They do terrible. I mean, we could say Mayock has been fired. It's a new GM.
Mayock was the GM through that, so let's understand that. It's a whole new management.
The Raiders, though. This goes back 20 years. Like, this is Sebastian Janikowski in the first round. Like, this goes back 20 years of just bad draft picks. They can have it. They can have the 1. They can have the 2. Green Bay will do better with those picks than the Raiders would have done, even I think with a new GM.
Will they?
Well, hopefully, at least. I mean, then we still have Derek Carr. I said he was a top 12 quarterback. I still believe that. Hunter Renfrow is probably one of the best slots in the league. Mom was upset with me because I was bragging too much about him as being the little slow slot guys in the league. And then they got Devonta, and they have Darren Waller, who's the top 3 tight end at the position. Like, people forget how good Darren Waller is. He's only, 28, 29? So it's going to be a good offense. And it's really the biggest thing about this move that Chandler Jones wanted to me is like, what are the Broncos doing? You traded for Russell Wilson, but the roster is the worst in the division. Like, every other team has been on it. They've been on it. The receiver core, I thought the Broncos were supposed to have a good receiver core. I take the Raiders receiver core now.
You forgot about Randy Gregory going to the Broncos? They made a little splash. Or you trying to put that in the back of your mind?
He's not better than Chandler Jones. He's not better than Chandler.
No, he's not.
They have a very good roster. I think offensively and defensively, they have a very good roster as far as we look at the Denver Broncos.
It's just the worst in the division.
Good collection. I mean,
it could be good.
It comes with improvement, roster improvement. Though they didn't need to go out to really get anybody because they already had the people in place. Like last year, we thought they was going to be a more deeper with Teddy Bridgewater, but it did not happen. But we knew if you pop open a quarterback like Russell Wilson of his caliber, you knew that was the improvement that they need internally. And I just think I just think the same thing with Denver. I think Denver is a very good team, and I think and I think that the reason why we're not talking much about Denver is because everybody else just made splash moves. That's the point. Denver already made their moves last offseason. They just needed a quarterback this offseason to take them over the
that's
top.
true, but like Russ Wilson's a top 10 guy. Derek Carr's top 12, so they have a gap in quarterback, but it's not a big gap. Derek Carr's going to step up. The Raiders actually went to the playoffs last year. And they added better players. So the roster is better with the Raiders. It was a better roster last year. You can say maybe the quarterback maybe made the difference, but they've added Jones, they added Devonta Adams. Brian Edwards still really hasn't been unlocked. We see what Renfro is doing. Waller missed 8 games. The Broncos, with that division, whoever's getting out of the division is going to be tough. I can't wait to actually get the divisional crown from the division. Like, they're probably going to send 2 or 3 teams. I think that was just the biggest takeaway I had from that. Really, any final takeaways about this specific trade though?
They need to have 4 teams in the playoffs. I don't know how that's going to work. But they need to find a way because there's no way one of those teams should not make the playoffs. Like, I just don't understand.
Well, I mean, we're moving on to the next team in the same division, the Los Angeles Chargers, or Superchargers as we know as kids. Khalil Mack, top 10 edge. Then you get J.C. Jackson, who's led the league in picks and pass deflections over the last 2 years. I thought Richard Sherman's little comment was pretty good. It's like, how do you lead the league in those statistics and not reset the market? I think he took a slight underpaid deal. Like, he got paid. So it's not like he didn't get paid. But if he wanted to go to like a bad team, he could have reset the market. I think he chose the best of both worlds. I'm gonna still be a top 3 highest paid corner, but I'm on a good roster, and I have a good number 2 corner beside me and a good safety to back me up with the pass rush there. The Chargers are coming. I don't really have much to say. I mean, Joey Bosa's a dog. We see what Khalil Mack's doing. We just talked about 2 other good pass rushes. This is the other pass rush duo that can give him some go right now, and that's in the same division. So I really like what the Chargers are doing. I'll give them an A+ actually.
Well, to be honest,
I mean, yeah, I like what the Chargers did. Getting Khalil Mack, it definitely puts somebody else on the other side of Bosa, and it's gonna, give him a very significant boost to an already strong pass rush with just Bosa. We got to see. I think we're gonna see pretty much the same Khalil Mack. He hasn't had too much of a drop off, but new situation. Aging player. J.C. Jackson definitely could have reset the market.
Yeah.
But, you know what I mean? What's a couple extra dollars when you can play for a team that's possibly headed to a championship? And then you look at this, like you said, the secondary, Chris Harris Jr., Asante Samuel Jr., like, it really pieces together. It really does. And Derwin James sitting in the back, I really like what it does for the Chargers. It's going to be needed in this division when you're looking at Devonta, you're looking at Tyreek Hill, you're looking at, and even the young boys, Jerry Jeudy and Cortland Sutton on the Broncos. So, I really like what the Chargers did. And being a game away from the playoffs when, you know what I mean, we all know how that turned out with Brandon Staley calling the timeout. You can expect to win a couple more games, even in this hard division. And maybe they could be one of the 3 teams that we expect to come out that division.
I think that I understand the big deal that's going on. J.C. Jackson, the Khalil Mack, which are very good pickups by the Chargers. The Chargers did a good job coming in, figuring out they need help on defense, and they went crazy. But I think that we're overlooking of the 2 deals that they did to help show up the biggest problem that they had as far as their team, and that was the run defense. It was one of the worst run defenses in the league. And you bring in a guy like Austin Johnson and Sebastian Joseph Day. The crazy part is Joseph Day has finished with the highest run stop percentage among interior defensive linemen. So to bring in a guy like him to be able to help show up that middle of that defense party, that inside of that defense is huge for the defense, especially with Brandon Staley and how the way he does his defense and stuff like that. It gives them opportunities for him to actually play the defense. Because at first he had to worry about having his corners come up, having the safeties come up because of bad run defense by this team. But now the defense can actually play the way Brandon Staley wants him to play, and that's huge for the Chargers. The Chargers are doing this type of model where Brandon Staley came from the Rams, what the Rams did with Jared Goff, as in Jared Goff is on a rookie deal, put all the talent you can, surround all the talent you can, and be able to build around that. And they're doing the same thing with Justin Herbert. As in Justin Herbert's on the rookie deal, we're going to do the best we can and build around this team while Justin Herbert's on this rookie deal, so we can be able to have the better opportunity to win the Super Bowl. And that's exactly what the Chargers are doing. They started on offense last year, be able to develop that line, and they're doing it on defense this year, developing that line too. I give major props to Chargers and what they're doing right now.
Yeah, we all know the D tackle Joseph Day was with the Rams when Staley was there. Staley's one of the most creative defensive coordinators in the league, and I've always thought he was going to be a good head coach, especially since he was also a former quarterback coach in college. I think the Chargers are gonna give a lot of teams some go this year. But Mont, what do you think about this Von Miller deal? I know you had a lot to say about this.
I mean, I like Von Miller going to the Bills. But this whole report of 6 for 120, we kind of misrepresenting like truly where Von is in his career. And he's still a tremendous player, no doubt. But to think he's going to play 6 years at being worth $17.5 million is not realistic. It's more like a 3-year, about 51. You know what I mean? I think that is a perfect contract for that span because you do got Josh Allen who's coming up, and you kind of don't really got to play with the cap when you got him and you got Von Miller. The defense that the Bills have was already one of the best defenses, even though they didn't get a Pro Bowler this year, I believe. And you add not just any pass rusher, you know what I mean? Von Miller, 2 Super Bowls. You got to put some respect on his name.
Yeah.
It's going to shore up a lot of things for them and make them even more dangerous than what they already are. I mean, you get Tre'Davious White coming back. Micah Hyde-Poyer still good back there. Evans still a great young player. I see the Bills. They knew what they had to do because the way this AFC is going, they knew exactly what they had to do. And it's just hard when you're talking about all these teams. It's so much talent. So it's like, it's amazing. I mean, I expect the Bills to be in the playoffs either way, but I'm not sure if Von Miller make it like a Super Bowl move, but they're definitely going to be competing. AFC Championship, of course.
Oh, yeah, most definitely. I think that they all really overblown this 6-year deal. It's really a 2-year deal, to be honest with you. They can maybe get out the second year. But the one thing that we have to look at is their defense was good, but they had trouble being able to generate, as far as pass rush. Von Miller coming into this equation, he is the best pass rush that they had so far. Probably one of the best pass rush that Sean McDermott as a head coach had since he's been on the Buffalo Bills. He had 41 pressures last season, which was better than what Jerry Hughes had, which he's a free agent too. He had like 37. So it shows that bringing a guy like Von Miller, even though he's at the tail end of his career, he still can provide the much needed pass rush that they did not have before. And so I think that's one thing that we have to look at with what the Bills have done and improvements as far as their defense, especially doing with this stacked AFC right now with all these very good quarterbacks. You already have the secondary, you already got the linebacker play, you have everybody else. You just need that pass rush. And when you get a guy like Von Miller, they have to look at getting a guy like Jerry Hughes back. But if they get Jerry Hughes and Von Miller back, you have these two bookend pass rushers that can be able to complement the back end as far as your defense. And I think that's going to be perfect for this Sean McDermott team, to be honest.
Yeah, I mean, we all know Von Miller is the best pass rusher of our generation. Of the last at least decade, he's been the best pass rusher there's been. We've seen what he's done. You say that name, he's probably one of the most famous defensive players of all time, period. When he comes to your team, he works. He's going to be a leader for the team. They're going to draft a DM within the first 2 rounds. Like, they're going to get younger on defense as well. I think he's really there also to bring some leadership to that unit. They already have the leadership in the back end, like Mont said, with the 2 safeties that the Bills have. The Bills are contenders. It's not really a hot take. Everyone kind of knows that. At least over the last 2 years, they've been in the playoffs. They just should have kind of won the Chiefs game. It was just one of those close games. You lose because you're just playing just a team that's just as good as you. They're adding more and more good players. I'm just really waiting to see what the Bills can do. After a year of a heartbreaking loss, I think they needed something to get the fan base behind. It doesn't come from a team that just has had so much heartbreak over the last 30 years with the 4 Super Bowl appearances, the losses. They've just been close too many times. And the fans are probably feeling that they had to get some signing to probably calm the fan base down.
And most definitely, they had to be smart with this signing. They had to really figure out who they wanted. And to be honest, they needed extra pressure. They needed to add more guys who could be able to pressure the quarterback. And I think when we even looked at that, it was like 13 seconds left of the game against Kansas City. There was no pressure going towards Patrick Mahomes. And that was a big problem that they was able to analyze last game, and they was able to bring in a guy like Von Miller. This can be able to help change things, change those type of close games that they've been playing in the playoffs, playing in the season, where that can give them the extra lift, the extra edge on defense. So they can be able to make these turnovers, get to the quarterback quicker. So they don't really have to worry about having Josh Allen try to win the game from them. So I think they did a good job getting guys like Von Miller, because his contract, we can talk so much about his contract, it's really only 2 years instead of 6, because they don't really have to, they can really let him go after 2 years. So that's a smoke and mirror of what people expected that contract to be. But I really like what the Bills doing. They are a Super Bowl contending team, and they are putting pieces together where it needs to be.
Any final words, Mont?
Not really. I just seen that the Bengals got Collins. I'm not very happy about that, man. I'm not very happy. The Bengals have won free agency the last 2 years. I'm very sick of it. For some reason, teams like them and the Browns seem to have all the salary cap in the world, and they never come close to the cap. And as a Steelers fan, I'm fed up with it.
Yeah, I think my last thing that we've learned as free agency is that salary cap is a myth. If your owner gives a rip, you will get who you want to get. Don't let any owner tell you we can't re-sign this player because of the cap. It is a lie. You can get whoever you want to. The Rams also signed Allen Robinson when they were allegedly against the cap. The Saints were $80 million over the cap. They were going to sign Deshaun Watson. You can sign whoever you want to. Do not let the owners and the GMs trick you. Malcolm.
Yeah, most definitely. I think the Bengals was a sleeper of it. I think the Bengals was a sleeper of this whole offseason, the way they was able to figure out what their weaknesses was, which was everybody knew that, and they was able to fill it really, really nicely. So yeah, the Bengals are doing good, and I just put a poll out to make sure who is the Bengals are going to get to the Super Bowl next year, and it's been looking good. So people believe in what the Bengals have been doing this offseason so far. So
yeah,
they won't make it out of the division.
Oh,
all right, Mike. We not worried about your little $7 million quarterback and Mitch Trubisky now. Mitch Trubisky, yeah, you're right.
7 or 28.
In Mitch we trust, right? In Mitch
Washington
we trust.
lost
In Mitch we
players.
trust.
hey,
In Mitch we trust, man.
mil.
In Mitch we trust. We can talk more about that later on. Yeah, okay.
I'm gonna let them boys have it again. If you were listening on the Apple, Spotify, thank you. Continue to share, and if you are on YouTube, subscribe, like, and share. I'm out.
Hey, continue supporting us. We appreciate the support. Follow us on Malcolm Ron Show on Twitter and on Instagram. We have a lot of good takes. Ron posts a lot, little crazy takes. You talk about his Cowboys, how it's depressing to him. And then you focus on Instagram. Mont is doing a very good job posting. So make sure y'all tune in on that. Y'all guys have a great day. I'll see y'all later.
All right.